Looking at this NFL Sunday wild card weekend, we got 3 games to break down as we look at this for No House Advantage and their pick'em contest. We can hit up to $15,000 for first place today. Hey, give us a like, subscribe, keep up with all of our shows, our DFS offers, our giveaways. Once you do subscribe, hit that notification button. That's going to give you alerts when our shows go live. We're also available in podcast form, so you can take us on the go, listen in the car, listen at the gym, out on a run, wherever you're at. Find us on your platform of choice. So we got 3 games to look at here. The pick'em contest, we got to pick 10 different props, over-unders. Again, $15,000 to first place in the big $30,000 Sunday wildcard contest. So let's start diving in here. And the first place that I'm going to look is J.K. Dobbins of the Baltimore Ravens. 65.5 rushing yards is the line on Dobbins. The key is that Gus Edwards is back. He is healthy. So we can look at the under on J.K. Dobbins here and what's going to be a tough matchup for Baltimore against Cincinnati. Look, Dobbins will probably have a lot of carries. The Ravens are going to be trying desperately to run the ball against the Cincinnati Bengals with Lamar Jackson out once again. Tyler Huntley is still a game-time decision, and he's playing with shoulder tendonitis, so not expecting the Ravens to be throwing the ball a ton here. But because Gus Edwards is back, I don't think you see a ton of rushing opportunities for J.K. Dobbins here. Our projections like the under by about 10 yards in this spot. So that's enough for me to be very confident in the under on J.K. Dobbins in a game that the Ravens are likely playing from behind. At the same point, we can look at the Bengals and Joe Mixon. And while Mixon only had 27 yards rushing against Baltimore last week, I think he's going to have a lot of opportunity in this game as the Bengals will try to get out to a big lead and sit on it. We're only looking at 50.5 rushing yards for Joe Mixon. If you're concerned about the matchup against Baltimore because of what happened last week, and go back to the first meeting between these two, Mixon ran for 78 yards on 14 carries. So it's not as if he can't rack up some rushing yards against this Ravens defense. Again, we're expecting Cincinnati to be playing from ahead, be able to hopefully grind out this win in the second half. And we're looking at projecting 62 rushing yards or so for Joe Mixon. That is well clear of 50.5 rushing yards. I mean, look, when you're looking at a team that, what is a 9-point favorite in the Cincinnati Bengals and their lead back, we're only looking at 50.5 rushing yards. That's something that I want to get over on, and I think is a pretty easy one to put near the top of your No House Advantage lineups. If you haven't played it, No House Advantage, sign up. There is now a $100 deposit match. So if you deposit $100, they'll give you $100 to play with. You'll have $200 in your account. And there are 2 ways to play. You can play in the pick'em contest, as we're breaking it down right here. This is where you can hit for those big numbers, like a $15,000 first prize. You could also play versus the house. Let's say you put together 5 different props over under. You can mix in NFL, NBA, whatever you like. You can hit 20 times your entry fee on that. So definitely something you want to check out. And going back to the pick'em contest, this is what I really enjoy playing at No House Advantage. You see a lot of overlay in these contests, whether it be NBA or NFL. A lot of these contests do not fill. That's something you always want to keep an eye on. And when I see that there is a lot of overlay in a contest, I'm throwing a lot more lineups in there than I ordinarily do. So a couple of ways to play and try to be profitable at No House Advantage. We know this weekend we've got some backup quarterbacks in the mix. So we can look at Jaylen Waddle with Skylar Thompson starting at quarterback from Miami. These numbers were put up before we knew that Thompson was going to be starting at quarterback. So 72.5 rushing yards for Jaylen Waddle is just way too high a number. Waddle has really been the receiver that has been hurt when Thompson is in the lineup. You look at games where Thompson has played, Waddle, 5 catches, 44 yards last week. 3 catches, 52 yards a couple of weeks ago. 3 catches, 23 yards. That was when Thompson came in relief of Teddy Bridgewater early in the game against the Jets. Thompson also started a game against the Vikings. Waddle actually did have a big game that day, but Teddy Bridgewater relieved Thompson about midway through the second quarter, and that's where most of the damage was done. So Waddle, Thompson, that has not worked. So we're looking at the under on Waddle. I would not be in a hurry to go under on Tyreek Hill. I think there are just too many ways for Hill to get the ball and make things happen on his own. I don't think he is as quarterback dependent as Jaylen Waddle, but I'm definitely looking to get under on the receiving yards on Jaylen Waddle. I know I'm not blowing your mind with that one, but that's an important one to have in the mix. You could also look at Sammy Watkins of the Baltimore Ravens, getting back to that game. Again, we don't know who's going to be a quarterback for the Ravens. Watkins' number is all the way up at 37.5 receiving yards. Look, he did have 2 catches, 79 yards against the Bengals last week, but really not expecting to see that again, whether it's Huntley or Anthony Brown. Again, I think Baltimore's going to be trying to run the ball. I don't think they're going to have success in any way in this game. Very easy to get under on Watkins, especially considering he's only been with Baltimore for about a month. Something I like to use, especially when playing versus the house and no house advantage, is Odds Shopper. And Odds Shopper is going to give you what the lines are at the books. So you can see maybe a number is off when you're playing versus the house and no house advantage. You can use it as a guide for the pick'em as well. I love using our projections. They are free over at Stokastic.com. I like to double check it with what's going on at the sports books. Maybe you find that the number is just off. Maybe you find there's a lot of juice on the number where it's minus 140 or something, and then you want to play it in that direction. It just kind of confirms what the projections at Stokastic have for you. And of course, if you are betting and playing against various houses, sports books, you can use Odds Shopper to find where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. It's one thing to be right and to know that, I don't know, Isaiah Hodgins will have at least 4 catches next week, but you want to maximize how much money you get if you are correct, and Odds Shopper will help you do that. Speaking of Isaiah Hodgins, yeah, we're going to get 4 catches out of Isaiah Hodgins this week. I'm expecting a lot of points in this Giants-Vikings game. Indoors, 2 teams that can score the ball a little bit, mostly Minnesota. Minnesota's played a lot of high-scoring games this year. They did put up some points last time they played. I think there's actually more points to be scored this time. And you know, Hodgins is basically the Giants' #1 receiver. He's had at least 4 catches in 5 straight games. With all that, the opportunity that's there for Hodgins, he's kind of a possession receiver. I'm looking to get over on that reception line. We have him projected for about 4.5 catches. So, you know, a catch clear is a nice spot to be. And depending on what you like of this game, you can look at overs on Saquon Barkley, on Dalvin Cook, on Justin Jefferson. I'm expecting this game to be up and down the field and to be the highest scoring game of the weekend. So I'm throwing Isaiah Hodgins out to you over on the catches. But I think this is a game that you could really correlate some things. You could look at Kirk Cousins over on the passing yards, Daniel Jones over on passing yards, all the way down the line. I do think we have points and yardage in this game between the Giants and the Vikings. If you're playing DFS, NFL, check out our lineup generator. This thing gets better every single week. They are adding new features and really fine-tuning this thing. It allows you to get contrarian without putting together lineups that are dumb, right? It's that fine line between being contrarian and being dumb to win these GPPs. All these lineups are relatively smart at the very least and can be contrarian where you have that good mix to try to get you to the top of a GPP and hit for some big money. And the lineup generator is included when you sign up for our DFS packages. As far as No House Advantage goes, we have free projections at Stokastic.com. Take advantage of them, utilize them, and best of luck on this NFL Sunday.